say, Charlie, we love you. You're amazing. You're this, you're that. But I made a list. And here's what the list was. The top 10 influencers in Trump getting elected in 2024. Okay. I have Musk as one. And then from there, I don't have a ranking. The only one that I have as one, I think it's Musk. Musk coming out and doing what he did. Everybody else. I have Tucker, played a very important role with the alliance. I have Dana behind closed doors doing what he did to rally. I have Rogan. What he did the last week was monumental for him to get the independent voters. I have Tulsi. I have Bobby. I have Vivek. I have J.D. Vance in a big way. J.D. played a very important role because I was a doubter myself at first. I'm like, you had many different options. Why him? And then he won everybody over, including myself. I'm just being open about it. I can't believe how talented and capable he is. Laura Trump. I got Barron. And I got Charlie. And Charlie Kirk, to me, I have it in top 10, but I have you in my top 5. But I think, folks, over the next decade, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades to come, I think Charlie's going to be one of the most top 3, sometimes 1 or 2, most formidable voices in politics for decades to come. And by the way, criticize me for it. Say stuff, but stick around. You'll see what this guy's going to be doing. I'm watching his TikTok account when he's going out there sitting with kids and challenging them and bringing other people, and you're having those conversations. And then the debates, the conversations you're having with people that want to challenge you, going to the youth. People don't want to do that. People are waiting for them to come to him. Charlie's going to them. Incredible job you've done the last 12 months. I gave you a compliment last week, and I gave it on the podcast with Laura as well. It's great to have both of you guys on the podcast today.
Thank you, PBD.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
You too, man.
It's the first time you guys are meeting,
Yeah.
right? So I just want you to know, guys, when before camera, we're acting right now. They were fighting. They were cursing each other out. It was the first time I heard Charlie drop the F-bomb to Chris. I'm like, Chris, Charlie, hold back a little bit, bro. Like, don't bring out the gangster in you. But no, I'm actually being sarcastic. But we're going to have a civil conversation and a debate here today. While we're going through it, I have a lot of issues that I want to cover. 5 things you need to know about Susie Wiles, political. I want to know more. You guys can educate me. Who is she? What has she done? I know the Summerall father, all this stuff. All the appointees, all the names that's coming out, right? You know, you got Lee Zeldin, Marco Rubio, Lisa Stefanik, Mike Walsh, all these Holman, Tom Holman, all these names that are coming out. Stephen Miller, I think, was even announced last night, if I'm not mistaken.
On the policy side, not the cabinet side.
So I want on the policy side, and I want to hear all those things as we go through it. Powell, can Trump fire Powell? Powell said, "I'm not stepping out no matter what happens." That's another discussion. And the Fed must talk about the FEMA. What happened over there with FEMA? The conversations that FEMA's got to report directly to the president, not to some other institution or not other. We'll talk about that as well. Pentagon officials discussing how to respond if Trump issues controversial orders. A host, one of the pundits on CNN responded to it. I want to play that clip for you. Young voters. I'm going to talk about Barron. I want to talk about the CNN guests clashing in a heated debate over transphobia, which was very weird to me. We'll talk about that. Mark Cuban apparently deleted some of his pro-Kamala Harris tweets. You did a phenomenal show that one night with him, with Dana White, with all those guys. So I want your thoughts on that. Bitcoin, the results, what's happened since Trump got elected. Oil industry. Harris's campaign, some numbers came out about how much they paid Beyonce, how much they paid all these guys. If that's true, again, I want to get your thoughts on that. Rogan saying Harris's campaign wanted topic restrictions for interview. And then a few other things that Elon apparently knew way before it was done. And then China issues warning to Trump. Anyways, these are all the things I got. But listen, I wanted to make sure we take a moment to recognize somebody. I think this is very important because even though Kamala lost, we wanted to take a moment and create some merch on her behalf because I know it matters to her. Rob, if you can, because listen, right now it's what? What is today? Right now it's November. Can you give me the date, Rob? It's the 12th today, right? Thanksgiving's around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. There was a moment that Kamala was uncomfortable saying Merry Christmas. She wanted to say Happy Holidays. Rob, can you play this clip? Go ahead and play this clip for the audience. Go ahead.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Okay, you can pause it right there. So guess what? I want to say Merry Christmas this Christmas. Very simple. And if you are confident enough to say it as well, we had a very deep discussion because not everybody that works here is Christian. We said, listen, guys, we want to create merch that's very bold, that says Merry Christmas with maybe some scripture in it. Let's see if we have an audience for it. Pat, I don't know if it's a good idea and all this other stuff. It's what I stand for. You want it, great. You don't want it, I totally get it. But if you're watching this and you want to get a Merry Christmas hat, you go to Starbucks and you got the sun. I just want to see the reaction. You smile. You go to work, you got a Merry Christmas hat. You got to take that hat off, right? Hey, you want another hat here? You want some of the ugly sweaters that we have here, Rob? Can you show some of the stuff that we got here? You want to get some of the stuff for your kids, shirts, future looks bright, Merry Christmas gear is officially here. And if you're bold enough to do it and order it, and again, you place any orders of these, we're going to put some future looks bright ornaments in the order for you, limited edition custom that we have for the first 100 that place the order. If you're bold enough and you're comfortable going out there telling people Merry Christmas, and you're a valuetainer that believes the future looks bright, go place an order, and let's make some people uncomfortable or comfortable this Christmas with saying Merry Christmas. Having said that, let's get right into it. Charlie, and by the way, we can go to VT Merch to place the order. I'm coming to you first. It's the night. Everyone's doing the live. You call in. I say, Chris, where you at? I think it's over. Rasmussen, Mitchell calls in. I think it's over, right? The moment that you knew it was over, there's a clip of you, right? And if you want to play this clip, Rob, on what happened here. I see this clip. I loved it because it's so organic and you don't want to do it, but it's just happening and your team caught it. Rob, can you play this clip of Charlie reacting to the results?
Fox News decides Donald Trump is president of the United States. We've got our republic back, folks.
Let's go.
There it is.
Everybody should remember this moment. Look, I'm gonna echo Charlie from earlier. Remember where you were when this happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, just the establishment, you said it's time to actually participate. And look what you guys have done.
And if anyone deserves to get tears in his eyes, it's Charlie. I think we all agree.
I think Erica was chopping some onions or something in the break room.
No one has worked harder than Charlie for this.
We gotta hear some words here from you, Charlie. You put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. It's all God. It's all God. God alone. God alone.
You can pause it, Rob. Charlie, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, well, from January 2021 to that moment, we dedicated our entire life to get Donald Trump back to the White House. I want people to remember the context of that. That was after January 6th. Donald Trump was basically in political exile, and we dug out of what would be the greatest political hole in modern American history. And especially this last year and a half, everything was just coming through me from not just how hard the president worked, but how hard we worked. I mean, we traveled the country nonstop, didn't see my family, did events in every corner. President was facing 700 years in federal prison. They tried to take his business empire away from him. And then, of course, he got shot and nearly shot again at the golf course. And there was this kind of feeling as like, is this possible? Are we going to do this? And, going into election night, we're almost built in with kind of this paranoia that there's no way this is actually going to materialize. And I believe it was a God thing. I believe that it's God shining his grace on this great country, and is just overwhelmed in that moment. It still really hasn't set in, to be honest.
Charlie, to the average person that's watching this, we know some of the stories that have come out from the moment it was announced that he's won. What events have taken place the last few days? I'm talking Qatar, Hamas. What events have taken place just in the first week?
Well, it's incredible. And by the way, I've been at Mar-a-Lago helping with some of the transition stuff too, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I mean, just number one, a caravan has already broke itself up coming to on the U.S. southern border. Qatar has told Hamas, "You're no longer welcome in the as kind of a vacation spot for terrorist hotbed." The European Union has announced that they are now going to buy LNG, liquefied natural gas, from America, not from Russia any longer. We're also seeing an attempt, at least, of conversation to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. We've seen Bitcoin hit an all-time high at $87,000. The market has a huge surge, largely just based on the confidence. I think it's also hit an all-time high, largely based on Trump's victory. And this is all just not these things are signals based. They're effects based on signals of the president basically saying, I'm coming back and we're going to fix this thing, and we're not going to allow business as usual to continue.
So, Cuomo, for you, I mean, we've been talking for, year, 2 years regularly. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Going in, at what point were you like, this is over, this guy's going to be winning?
Well, look, we had the benefit of Decision Desk HQ. That is a very formidable tool. The differentiator in the media was not the basis of information for making the call. I think it was about preference for some. Nobody's in a rush to call an election, Pat, because there's very little upside to being first. For instance, in the clip, Charlie's listening there, or the group is listening, and they say Fox News. We called it first. But he's listening to Fox, so when Fox says it, there's not a real big upside to being first. What's relevant to me, you just don't want to be wrong, okay? That's why, guys, when the momentum was hitting you during your event, which is amazing, by the way, and I love that it came off as successfully as it did. It was a really important thing. We need more of those. They said, slow down. But you're like, but how much of the vote is still out? Slow down. There's no reason for us to be wrong. So that's usually the guiding. That said, I believe outlets waited to call the race because they didn't want Trump to win. And News Nation didn't have a preference. So we just wanted it to be right. And I did have a special interest in it being over. I think a fair appraisal is I wasn't worried about what would happen if Trump won in terms of how the Democrats would react. I was worried about how Trump would react. I was worried that there were a lot of people who would say, but the polls were so close. And I'm sure that there's a chance that he would have said something provocative, and then who knows where we would have gone.
Did you expect it to be the landslide victory?
No. And I love that now everybody's explaining why it happened, how it happened.
Right.
It's so easy after the fact. Look, the polls weren't wildly off. He just won by a small margin in a lot of areas, and she underperformed. The reason Trump won was because the Democrat, other than the themes and all the stuff that we can talk about, the ideas behind the motivation, the Democrats underperformed. Now, they'll argue with me. No, we didn't, because Trump may have won, but we won this Senate race and we won all this. Well, look, you lost the Senate, you lost the House, you lost the White House. That's underperforming, okay, any way you want to look at it. So I didn't know. I had said for months I believed it was Trump's race to lose. And I worded it that way on purpose because it was a grievance election. It's about how people felt about their pocketbooks and overlays of how they felt about cultural norms. So in that environment, it's harder for an incumbent. And she was a compromised incumbent. Now, I said it was his to lose, not Trump's going to win, not because I was sitting on the fence, because Trump is such a polarizing figure that he could have overwhelmed the momentum of the movement behind him. But he didn't. And he won. So I wasn't surprised.
I mean, for you, as a big Trump supporter yourself, were you happy with the results?
I was happy that there was a definitive, quick result. I am not a fan.
Would we be surprised?
Yeah.
If we knew who you voted for? Would we be surprised if we could see who you voted for?
I probably shouldn't tell you, but I can tell you who I voted for. You want to know?
Yeah.
I voted for my brother. I wrote him in.
Are you joking?
No.
100%.
100%. I'll show you the picture. Here. We'll verify it in real time.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking. He didn't win, by the way.
Did you really vote for?
I'll show you. I'll show you why.
Well, you know who your brother voted for. He showed it as well. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Can I show this?
Huh?
Can I show it?
No, because I think it might have been illegal that I took a picture.
Oh, okay,
so let's just pretend it happened.
No, it never happened. I'm looking at his family picture. Beautiful dog. Your daughters look great, by the way, in that picture.
But look, I was...
Really?
What I was happy about was that it ended and that it was definitive.
But why didn't you vote for Kamala? Why didn't you vote for Kamala?
Listen,
your brother voted for Kamala.
He's a Democrat, so he does what he does. My feeling is this. America can do better than these two candidates.
Does he know you voted for him?
Yeah.
You told him?
Yeah.
What did he say to you? You wasted your vote? Did he say something like that or no?
No. He just, was like, yeah. That's what he says about most
things. New
things.
York, who cares? Like,
most
it doesn't
things.
matter. Was it kind of like that or?
Yeah, no. He just was like, yeah, he had other things he wanted to talk about. But look, the point for me is I'm not a Trump fan, okay? And I'm not a Democrat. I think this country can do better. I think that the movement behind Trump is very real.
Yeah.
It's been disrespected. And I think that's problematic for America. I just think we can do better. I mean, don't fault Charlie for campaigning and believing in Trump. I don't. I think it's very healthy for the democracy. I don't have problems with people who see him as a problem and wanted somebody else. I get it. To me, I just believe the choices are beneath the standard of American leadership. I think we have way better people to pick from.
Let me ask a question for Charlie, for you. You've been in this sport for a while, the sport of politics, and it is a sport. Let's face it; it's very competitive, and sometimes the way it competes, it's not a touchdown; it's events, right?
Sure.
How have you, for somebody that's been in this space, viewed the evolution? He may not say this, but from the viewer side, from Cuomo 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, today.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, I don't really care what Chris Cuomo's politics are. I think that it takes someone who loves truth to go to the DNC and remind the viewers that all those boxes up there are bought by corporate titans. I thought that was really good. And look, I think that I don't know Chris very well, but it seems as if Chris has a knack to actually do what journalists used to do, increasingly so. And I mean, you had this great video that someone sent me where you explained why Trump people were voting for Trump and they wanted to hire somebody for a dirty job. I'm paraphrasing, but I thought that was really smart. And look, I don't expect everyone in media to go vote for Donald Trump. I actually think it's awesome that you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, which is super refreshing because that's like the automatic entry point, right?
Yeah.
But look, I don't want to get into Chris Cuomo's career. There are some things during COVID I certainly didn't love, but that is what it is. However, Chris, I think it's great that you came out and you talked about the vaccine, that it didn't necessarily deliver on its promises. I thought that was terrific.
Well, it absolutely didn't.
But thank you for doing that, because so many people would hold back on that because they're afraid of being called all these terrible names.
Look, I get it, and I do believe there are some risks. One of the reasons I'm a big fan of Pat, I just love you as a guy, and to me, that's kind of the end of the analysis, because just everything else just doesn't matter as much. When you see someone, and Pat talks about this a lot. I haven't seen you with your wife. I haven't seen you with your kids. I haven't seen you with your people. But once I get a feel for you there, everything else is kind of secondary. It's like, well, it can be as weird as like Jets Patriots. Well, he grew up in a place where they were Jets fans, so he just likes to lose. Everything becomes secondary. And what my concern is for what we're doing is I don't believe there's any evolution in self any more than just natural. Now, I'm the ghost of Christmas future for you. You're in your early 30s. I'm in my early 50s. This is what happens to you. You just keep evolving and changing. My concern is that we become so sensitive to the criticism and the gotchas. It's become such a commodity that what I love about what he's doing at Valuetainment is that there are a number of people who will tune in, Charlie, Kirk, Chris Cuomo, thinking that like I'm going to try to lift you over my head at some point, And I get that that's a commodity, but I also think it's really toxic to us because every time they do a poll of real people, we know what they say. 7 out of 10 of them say they share common interests. Where's that? You don't make money off that on social media.
That doesn't sell.
But that's what we need to get back to. It's not fair. Like there are people blowing me up right now. I guarantee it. My phone's probably getting hot. You normalize Charlie Kirk. You normalize Pat. Well, first of all, who's to say that they're not the normal ones and they're normalizing me, right? And what is wrong with sitting with people and talking about where you agree, where you disagree, and why?
By the way, this is the part. I don't know the folks at News Nation. You always speak very highly of them.
Yeah.
Camera on or off. The fact that you're talking vaccine, that is also part that he can do it while you're representing a News Nation. So kudos to them. Where maybe you couldn't do it being at a different outlet. Now, you may defend him now and say, yeah, I could still do it at CNN, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if during that time they would have let that,
News Nation is different. Okay, the guys who own it are much more transparent. It's a public company,
it's Daystar, right?
And Nexstar.
Oh, that's right.
And they are much more transparent in terms of how they feel about things, but they do give me more leeway with the brand. See, the difference is it's not that, and you don't have to agree, but I was there, and it wasn't that CNN. It's like you had a meeting like this. They told me what to say. That's not what it was. But the brand was bigger than you.
It was more an email.
It was in the corner. The brand was bigger than you. So you had to respect the fact that you can't come on and say, hey, I had a good time talking to Charlie Kirk. We don't agree about some stuff. I don't know why he says something.